Hi, Gene Burnett from GeneBurnett.com. Hey, I thought we'd talk a little bit today about Qigong and different types of Qigong. I like to think of Qigong as simply movement, breathing, stretches, exercises, drills that are meant to and with the intent of increasing my vitality, my sense of health and vibrancy and life and balance. So within the big umbrella, a lot of things fit under that. All you have to do is be thinking, I'm studying my motion, my breath, my position to increase my vitality. I want to feel better energy in my body. I want to feel more alive, like a puppy, alive. So I generally divide Qigong in my mind between sort of health Qigong and martial Qigong. Martial Qigong to me has a self-protective, functional aspect to the movement. Health Qigong doesn't necessarily have that. It can, but it doesn't necessarily have that. It's more concerned with systems of the body and their health and upkeep. So you may believe in Qi, you may believe in meridians, or you may believe in a more Western model of blood and nerve flow and circulation. If you're doing it for health, you're looking at maximizing your body's sort of health systems, to put it generally. And if you're doing it for, my belt's undone. If I'm doing it for more martial Qigong, sure, I'm thinking about those systems, but I'm also thinking about the function of the movement, what it's for. So I think it's really great to do both. I personally do both. And I want to show you just a little bit of a difference between how I would practice or what a Qigong exercise looks like that might be more health-oriented versus that might be more martial-oriented, even though all the Qigong that I do has a physical function of some kind. It's all kind of on the martial Qigong side because there's always a physical function to it. I don't do anything that's just based on meridian theory or any of that stuff. I'm pretty functional, mechanical, kind of a Western guy. It's not classical. So if I'm going to do a Qigong exercise, let's say this one here, which we call the Clam Breathing in our style. I'm just going to get to where I'm visible. It's a turn of the waist here, and I'm letting this hand sort of circle. The circle's coming from here. I'm not twisting my knees, of course, turning my waist, not my knees. Then I'm swinging forward and reaching up. And I'm getting a twist from here all the way across my back, all the way to that opposite hand. I'm not just turning my wrist, I'm twisting all the way down that length of that, putting that heel back down, sinking back into the back leg, turning into kind of a ball position here, and then I'm going to sink into my back leg and return to where I started. So here. Now if I'm doing this exercise with a health function, I'm thinking long spine, first of all. Chest up, tail tucked a little bit, knee alignment, posture, very important. So on the posture level, it may look a little bit almost robotic because I'm thinking about the cylinder core rotating and that rotation sending the twist out to the hands. And then I'm sinking, keeping my chest up, long spine, and then sinking into my back leg. There. I might also be thinking fairly large circles, so I might swing things a little bit more, and when I get to the top I might reach a little extra if I want a little extra stretch, drawing it back and settling again. And I might also be thinking about my breath, so I'm inhaling through this entire swinging, sweeping up motion, and then exhaling as I move back and down and into my leg and down. I may further, if I'm interested in reverse breathing, when I do my inhale, I might be breathing especially with attention to the space between my shoulder blades, expanding there, and then when I come back, kind of letting myself settle down into the abdomen and push out with my lower belly as I turn and settle. So this is pushed out, like you're a kid pretending you're pregnant. You're pushing your belly out. So it's like that kind of a thing. So to me, reverse breathing, I think you need to be very cautious with it. Maybe under the right teaching you could do it more safely, but I think it puts a lot of pressure on the abdominal wall, and I'm not sure how good it is for you. I do it occasionally, but not regularly. So you can see I'm not thinking about the function of the movements at all. I'm thinking about my posture, my balance, my flow, my circularity, my breathing, and I'm like opening up the highways. I'm not really big into directive Qigong, as I said, where you're putting energy down meridians and directing it through your body with will and intent. I'm more of a non-directive Qigong person where you focus on opening the highways rather than directing traffic. Rather than directing traffic, open the highways, expand the number of lanes, repair the bridges, open up pave it and keep it smooth, all that kind of stuff. Road maintenance as opposed to directing traffic. So now, if I'm doing that same exercise with a martial Qigong focus, right away everything shrinks and gets more condensed, and I start thinking about how I would actually apply this. So this movement here becomes small. It's just shying away from something a little bit or turning slightly away. When I'm coming forward, I'm thinking of the potential for, I don't know if you can see that, but the potential, like for wrist here, elbow here, potential for an arm bar or an arm break there, moving through that position, right? Or just a strike up to the ribs or or strike on the elbow. If I'm thinking arm bar, I can also think strike the elbow. So I've got this smaller movement here, and I'm a little condensed here. I feel my core engaged a little bit, because if I was going to actually put pressure here, if I was actually going to direct force to these two crossed hand movements here, doing that with my arms isn't going to do shit. I have to connect it to my legs and core. So that has to be a full, whole-bodied movement there, right? So I'm thinking of that when I'm doing martial Qigong. Things are condensing in the core a little bit, and I'm going through that place with the intent of these forces could do damage to something in between them, right? And when I come up, I don't go all the way up here to the big, full, stretchy open. I'm thinking more like a cuff to the face or side of the jaw. I'm thinking like I'm going forward with this, like that kind of motion. So it's not a great strike, but it's a strike, and I'm thinking about that right there, and I'm not going much further than about here because I want to be comfortable here. Now when I come back, I'm thinking elbow behind me, right? Elbow strike behind me with a gravity assist there. I'm also thinking deflection in the front shoulder, just kind of shelling up a little bit into the ball's a little more protective. So instead of super long spine like I've got a book on my head and doing a more yogic health version, I go from here to a fairly condensed version. I'm thinking I might be pulling something here or deflecting something here. And then again, I've got those cross arm things. So I'm thinking about the potential of two hands going opposite directions and their martial potential. So instead of a sweeping soft circle like that, it's a more condensed, more focused circle. So again, here's the health version. Here's the martial version. Now you can apply this to any Tai Chi movement that you want to. A similar movement to what I just did. Go in the other direction, parting wild horse's mane, however you do it. You can be thinking long spine, push the cylinder of your body forward to a certain point, add rotation, settle and relax into the position. Or you can be thinking, punch is coming and I shied away from it, got the wrist, and I could be thinking, ooh, I've got a straight shot for the face, but I'm going to be nice and do a throw, so I'm throwing that way. So I'm thinking a little more condensed and a little more martial. So when I'm thinking martial, I condense, core engaged, all the links of the body a little closer together. Like if it was a chain, it would not be a loose chain, or a string of beads, it would not be loose. The beads get a little closer because there's you got to be more dynamic, right? So same thing with any Tai Chi movement. You can do a kick with attention to posture and flow and yogic health benefits here, or you can be thinking a little smaller, a little more focused, little kind of condenses a little bit. There's another movement that shows this real obviously. It's one of our Qigong exercises that we call Fox Fairy Bays at the Moon. So I think I worked on this a little bit recently in a video about how to do standing ab work. So you can work your abs while you're standing, because this involves a backward lean. So when I do the fox, just the basics of it, I'm over my left foot, my right foot steps back, my heel comes in a little bit towards my center line, I'm hung over a little bit, and then as I straighten up, my arms are going to do a big circle. And the circle's caused by my straightening of my spine, and then it's caused by my tucking of my hips and rocking back, and then it's caused by gravity, right? So there's that circle. So if I'm doing the health version, I step back and settle. I rise up into a nice big circle. I tip my hips and I let my hands come way up top and I drop them like that. And I'm not arching my back. I'm still keeping a concave feeling here rather than arching, so I can still talk. That's a good symbol, a sign that you're doing it right. And here, but I'm at the very edge of what I can safely do there. I'm just going to switch legs. So I'm going to go back, I'm going up, 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 and release back like that. And since this is a health Qigong, I want to connect to my breath, so I'm going to inhale when I go forward, and then I'm going to exhale through the mouth as I go back, and as I go up, I'm going to, if I do a little reverse breathing, or at least firm the abdomen, push out a little bit, and then release it. So I'm almost looking at the sky here, right? So that's a more healthy version. If you want to do a more martial version, then you want to condense everything and connect things a little bit more and be thinking a little more functionally there. So I'm thinking somebody's pushing on these shoulders. I'm just drawing my hand up underneath, and I'm going to go back maybe about here, and I'm just going to let that drop. And I'm much more concave in here than I would be if I was doing it health-wise, because I'm thinking from here, I'm not keeping myself from falling backwards. I'm ready to spring forward, right? Ready to go forward. So I'm pushing back. If something's pushing me, I'm actually building isometric pressure into my back leg. And then I bring my arm up not as far as the health version and drop back, and then boom, that's in a position to strike. So I'm thinking condensed, smaller. I can still do the breath. I can still inhale and exhale here, but I'm just so much more martially available when I'm thinking about doing this under pressure, like someone's really pushing on me and I'm doing that and leaning back a little. Maybe that push caught me off guard a little bit. But again, the health version, right? Big circle. And I'm way back. I'm really working the leg. I can hang out here. I can relax everything except what's working, and I can work on those attributes. But if I'm doing it more martially, here, right? Smaller. I recommend doing both. I certainly do both. And it's really good to recognize and understand the difference between the two of them so that you don't think that one is the other. If you think this is, martial, yeah, it is in the general sense that it's self-protective. Like if you had a stick and someone was swinging for your leg and you blocked and got your leg out of the way just in case, sure, that's definitely got a martial function. But if you're doing it for health, you would be thinking of the large circle and a very straight spine and very upright and working on all your angles, however you do it in your system. But if you're thinking more martially, it's more condensed. It's closer to the bone. Everything is closer. Because one thing about martial situations, things happen really fast and unpredictably. It's messy. It's a lot, it's not a choreographed thing. It's a improvised thing. So you develop your tools, then you shrink them up and make them a little more useful, and then of course in life or in a fight, God forbid, if you have to defend yourself, then you have to improvise. You have to find which pieces and parts of what you know come to mind in order to deal with what's going on now. So hopefully, through the choreography, you learn attributes that you can then improvise with. Wouldn't that be great? But that's the plan. You know, you're not trying to take your choreography and inflict it on daily life or on a fight, like force it. Like, I'm going to make this thing work in a fight. You know, I don't believe in that. So the martial Qigong, condensed and literally feel it. Physically imagine what would that force be like if you were doing that. What if you really were deflecting a punch here and you saw an opening right there and you went push through that? What would you need to do if you did that? You wouldn't just do this. It's not just throwing your hands out there, right? You're pushing, you have to connect your leg to your core. You have to. And then the core has to rotate and connect to the arm. That's just how we work. And so doing it martially, you have to kind of imagine or have a partner stand there and put some pressure on it. Feel what it's like to actually do that. And then when you practice it solo, you can imagine that presence, or you can imagine the more healthy, more healthy, that's the word, more health-oriented Qigong. So I like to do both, all the exercises and all the forms that I do. Sometimes I'm just working on the smoothness of the movements and on all the yogic ideas of long spine connected with breath, the right muscles working at the right time. And then other times I'm thinking more martial. I'm thinking condense that and imagine resistance and imagine put a little more isometric tension in the muscles. So anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, I appreciate it. I make these videos to be helpful. I have donation tip jars all over my YouTube videos and all over my website, and that's totally optional. The main reason I'm offering these things is to be helpful, so anytime they are helpful, if you drop me a comment and let me know, that's always appreciated, because that's why I'm doing it. So take good care of yourself, and good luck in your practice, and we'll see you down the road.